the end, it comes out to Tom James. Good job! Oh, what a goal from Tom James! Oh, that was special!
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. It might have been a dry January so far here in E10 with only the one game coming on New Year's Day, but it was a victory against Cambridge, of course, and we've got another fantastic fixture to whet your appetite this afternoon as the O's face league leaders, Portsmouth. However, they're not looking in the best form themselves, having recently failed to beat Cheltenham. So it's all to play for today, and it's just an exciting one to be back and have some football after a weird 2 weeks without it.
Yeah, always good to have football on. Of course, shame that we weren't in the FA Cup, of course, last weekend. But given how buoyant the club's been in the last few weeks, it's good to kind of have it back because it did feel, like I was twiddling my thumbs at home, to be honest. last Saturday, I didn't know what to do with myself. So it's good to be back. It's going to be a tough test, of course. But given that really magnificent performance against a fairly poor Cambridge side and a Portsmouth team who are really not in the best of form of late, I'm quietly confident. But the last time I was quietly confident was against Bolton. Let's
move swiftly on from that. Let's talk about how good our form was after that Bolton game. 7 points from 9, 3 clean sheets. And Richie was vocal in the fact that the break probably came at a bad time.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to get right in terms of we were in such a good run of form. 7 points from 9, 3 clean sheets in a row over Christmas. We really looked like we turned the corner, and then you have that unfortunate break. But what it does give is the chance to kind of, the big run of games in those 3 games all came over Christmas in a short space of time. So the legs have been rested. I'm sure Richie will have come up with a game plan of how to kind of exploit this Portsmouth team. He said he was at the Cheltenham game where they lost last week, so plenty of time on the training ground to try and get things right ahead of this game.
Well, just a little bit of business in regards. Considering it's an away performance today, just want to highlight a deal that's available for you. Away shirts have a special deal on them in the club shop online now. So for the next 24 hours, well, I think until midnight tonight, you can get 20% off your official replica away shirts. But let's focus back on the football today, and it's time to hear from the gaffer. It's Richie Wellens.
We've obviously played Portsmouth a couple of times already so far this season. What can we expect from them?
Well, I think in terms of the Papa Johns, you don't really take any notice at all of them because we had 4 or 5 players that needed games, 4 or 5 players that have not played for a while and need fitness, so they're coming back from injuries. So they had a big squad and was able to still put a strong team out. In terms of the league game, I don't think it was a 4-0 game. What they're very, very good at is putting crosses in, and Colby Bishop's very, very good at getting the end of it. So we suffered from 2 set plays, not set play first phase. One was a long throw, we cleared it and we didn't defend the cross properly. Bex had an unfortunate situation where he's putting his own in the net and the game just drifted away from us. And I spoke after, I think it was after the Cambridge game, where a few Portsmouth fans were giving me a little bit of stick because I said that he didn't have to do anything to win the game. And it was actually a compliment. When you're a club, we had it last year where we were very, very efficient. We went to several games because you're playing Saturday, Tuesday and the load is a lot. There's some games where you just have to turn up, be professional and be efficient and win the game. And I thought Portsmouth on the day, full of experienced players, full of know-how in the league. And without being brilliant, I thought he was brilliant in being efficient, made good decisions around the football pitch. And he was deserving of the victory that day. But I do think it was, for the first half an hour, we was on top of them. And little things didn't go our way. And then, obviously, when they went 2-0 up, their experience showed. Slowed the game down, frustrated us. So even though I got a little bit of stick, it was a compliment, the fact that it's a sign of a good team. We had it last year where we had the pressure on us. We won 9 out of 10 and we're top of the league and everyone's putting pressure on us. You ain't going to go to every single team and dominate the ball and rotations here and it looked fluent. You do need to dog out those victories where we turn up today. Was we great? No, but we won the game, and I'm sure, I've watched Portsmouth be brilliant on the day as well. So I think they've got the best of both worlds when they've got really good football players in them, but physically they can impose themselves on the game as well.
well. Richie and his boys certainly showed what they were about in those last 3 games, and today's no different. And he's made no changes, of course, from that victory over Cambridge. So let's take a look and remind ourselves of how the O's line up for this afternoon's fixture. Starting in goal, fresh after keeping 3 clean sheets in a row, is our number 1. It's Sol Bryn. We have a back line with Tom James at left back, and we believe it's Ethan Galbraith filling up that right back spot with Daniel Happy and the captain Omar Beckles, our centre back pairings. In midfield is Idris El Mazouni alongside Jordan Brown, and then behind our striker is Theo Archibald, Max Sanders, and Shaq Ford. And then leading the line, he got his goal on New Year's Day. It's Dan Adji. And then on the bench for the O's is Bruce Byrne, Jaden Sweeney, Ed Turns, Joe Piggott, Ruel Satiriou, George Moncur, and Darren Pratley. So that's how the O's are lining up at Fratton Park this afternoon. And no real surprises. We played well. It looked a really clinical, professional performance. And admittedly, the teams we faced maybe weren't the most exciting on paper, but we still had to do a job, and we did.
Yeah, absolutely. And Portsmouth will obviously be a totally different proposition this afternoon. Top of the league, of course. I know they've been in slightly shaky form, but you look through their team, and we will do shortly, and it's full of quality and full of goals. So this afternoon will be a really, really tough test. But I think that belief of keeping 3 clean sheets in a row really means something. I think the way that we played against Cambridge, I know that we didn't have to be at our best. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous to not be at your best to get 3 points, but it was really good to see the cohesion was all there, and hopefully this team kind of has gelled over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure that they probably would have known that this would be the team for a long while. Obviously, it's been 2 weeks, and they would have been on the training ground all of this week. I think they had a couple of days off after that Cambridge game, but that there was a cohesiveness against Cambridge that was really impressive. And I have to say, it kind of surprised me, because this team, when you look at it on paper, we've played different systems throughout the course of the season. We've got Max Sanders playing in a 10, Ethan Galbraith playing at right back, but it really worked against Cambridge, and hopefully more of the same again today.
It's interesting as well, because we'll come on to talk about the defence, but in regards to attack, if you look at let's call it a front 4, they're young. They probably haven't played too much football together, but as Andrew said, they've gelled in recent games. Dan Adji's been getting football into his legs, and that whole front 4 in general. Hopefully, this last 2 weeks, some time on the training pitch, and after scoring 2 goals against Cambridge, we can see a few more today. It'll be a tough defence to play against, of course, though. Yeah,
definitely. But there's some real pace there for the counter attack, and I think in Shaq Ford, he's a player who really impressed me over the Christmas period, because I think he's always done well when he's come on up front. He's looked a handful. He's got goals. He looks unpredictable, but you can't really rely on him to be that lone striker at his age and kind of his physical profile. But if you play him out on the right, I think it's obviously a new position for him, something where he's not played before, but he's learning a position. And pretty much ever since that Bolton game where he came on, I think he's been excellent since playing. So a real chance for him. And then Dan Adji as well got his goal against Cambridge and looked a real handful. And hopefully we're going to see the best of him now. And hopefully with this 2-week break, he's had a chance to get some real running in his legs, and he's going to be at 100% after his injury he suffered in pre-season.
We've got to discuss Dan, because, as Brendan says, he did look a handful. This is what we wanted to see when he joined the club back in July, and unfortunately he did suffer that injury, but a lot of time on the training pitch, getting some minutes under his belts now, and he looks an exciting player, and one that a lot of fans are hoping to see a lot from.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to see him get that goal. Obviously, he had one in the first half that hit the post as well, so he had his sighters in. We said at half time in that game, if we can just get one player one-on-one, he'll find a yard of space and get a shot off, and he's not afraid to do that. So pleasing to see the manner in which he scored his goal was kind of. I didn't expect it to come from that, because it was a defensive error, and then I think it went straight through the keeper as well. But he's a very fun player to watch. He's very tenacious, unpredictable. Ollie, you and I went to the same school, right? And you know what I mean by a school, like a playground footballer. That's what he kind of looks like. I mean, we went to school years apart, so I mean, it might have changed in your era. But he's a sort of player that somehow you can't get the ball off him. You don't know what he's going to do next, and then all of a sudden he's over there, and that's what I mean by like a playground, kind of like a cage footballer. We can come on to that shortly as well, and our childhood memories. But he comes across as a player in a similar profile to that. So hopefully that unpredictability about his game will come to the fore, and there's something that will at least keep a defensive line honest, and hopefully it will do that against Portsmouth today.
There was no cage football at Davenant, really, which is where we went to school.
You said where we went to school?
Well, we had a lot of green fields to play our football in, we're going off on a tangent here, but Dan actually does look like that player that he is unpredictable, as Andrew said, but also he can drift out wide. Shaq Ford can come in through the middle. It's interchangeable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very fluid front three almost. I think like Sanders is going to probably stay in that number 10 position, but between Ford, Theo Archibald and Dan Adjei, there's, like you say, that fluidity there. They can all play into different roles. I think we're now seeing probably the best of Theo for quite some time. I think he's probably better suited to the left-hand side for me, where he can just like burn past the man and get a ball into the box. I think that's where we've seen the best of Theo Archibald. I know he likes to sometimes play on the right and cut inside, sometimes becomes a bit predictable. So I do like to see him out on the left, especially in these games against tough defences like we'll see against Portsmouth today.
We obviously got 2 goals that ultimately meant nothing against Bolton. 1 goal was enough to win it against Charlton, and then the Cambridge defence was leaking on New Year's Day, let's be honest. So we haven't exactly, put teams to the sword. I know we always talk about how many goals we do score as a team. But scoring goals must be something that sharing them amongst all the players and just getting that goal difference up, that must be on the forefront of some of their minds.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there will be kind of priorities for different players. I don't think it's particularly in someone like Dan Happy's mind to get on the score sheet. Similar with Omar, despite the fact he's chipped in with a couple of goals. I think it's important for someone like Shaq Ford, who's got 5 goals, to keep that tally ticking on. Now, we mentioned Dan Adjei. He's got his first goal for the club, and so that he'll be looking to get more. It's an interesting point, because I do feel like you look at a team like Portsmouth, their 2 centre backs, Shaughnessy and Raggett, both have 3 goals this season and a couple of assists as well. But that speaks much more to the style of football that they play and the threat that they pose, and the fact that they are top of the league, of course. So I would like to see it being shared out, of course, because that means goals. But it is good to see the fact that Theo was on the score sheet against Bolton, and Jordan Brown was against Cambridge, because it just shows that they can be spread around, and we're not entirely reliant on one player.
I think this is also kind of, the last 3 games have been a reaction to the disastrous first 10 minutes we had against Bolton, where obviously you're 3-0 down before you even got going, and you're completely out of the game. I think that would have shook Richie a little bit, because we never really had games like that at all in League Two. So you want to shore up that defence. You want to make sure we're hard to beat first and foremost. And then once you get that base and adapt that playing style where first and foremost you're going to keep clean sheets and limit chances, then you can go and kind of try and express yourself a bit more. I think that's what we did really well last season in terms of our defence was so solid. We kept so many clean sheets, and that always obviously gives you a good base to work from.
Right then, there's just over 15 minutes to go until kick-off at Fratton Park. And of course, don't forget, passes are available for you to listen or watch along with us here on Orient Live. Just head over to the website that is on screen now. But we're going to take a short break from football, and we're going to hear from a certain Rafa Gonzalez, who this week launched his fan group Wyverns of the South in sunny Spain. So let's hear a little bit more about that now.
I find Leyton Orient thanks to a video of La Media Inglesa, that it's a YouTube channel that used to do a lot of reports of English football. And then I started looking and reading about the club, about Leyton Orient, and I was starting seeing some matches, trying to understand better, the history of the club and everything. And I started supporting to get engaged, let's say, with the club for the beginning. I really like the seal. I really like the colors of the club, the history. To be the second oldest club in London, it was something really nice, to be honest. And then I started seeing all the matches and everything, and I started little by little, supporting the team each year, and then I have the opportunity to go into the Brisbane Road Stadium for the first time, like a couple of years ago, and it was like something, the environment, everything, like a community club. You find when you are there, you find that it's like a community club, well, with all the people supporting the club, the stadium almost plenty. So that's why I really like about Leyton Orient, and then I start like supporting the team since then. I think Yeovil Town, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and we lost. I can't remember the the result, but I remember that we lost that game. Yeah, but for me it was the result. It was not important. Yeah, just the the experience to be there, and and everything. It was for me it was so nice. That time it was League 2, if I'm not wrong, or National League. Not sure. I can't remember really well. But then I realized about the impact in the community of the club, because you see a club of 4th, 5th division with an stadium of almost 10,000 people, plenty. And here in Spain, that's something that is not so common, to see. And I really like this environment, all the families, the childs with their grandfathers and everything, all the environment, the community that I see in that match. Really, make me fall in love, with the club, the kind of aspect that I really like about the game. The last one that I went, it was this September against Shrewsbury Town that we won at that time, and it was also incredible.
Eso es fenomenal, Rafa. And of course, if you want to watch the full video of that, it is available on the Leyton Orient socials. And if you want to get involved with the Wyverns of the South, or if you want to set up a fan group of your own, just email media@leytonorient.com, and a member of the staff will talk to you about that one. But now back to football and talking about Orient. There's a certain Max Sanders who we're going to focus on a little bit today, because he's starting again today, and he's had a tough start to life here in E10 as well. Similar to Dan, he's been blighted with injuries. He's maybe gone under the radar about what kind of play we've got on our hands. Yeah,
I mean, he came to the club and people spoke very highly of him, because it's kind of a name familiar to people in this league and in League 2 as well. So it was very exciting to see him sign. I still think it's kind of almost a bit too early to say, because you want to see more of players who haven't had that many minutes. But what we'll see from the highlights that we've got of him is that there's a very, very capable player, and like I said right at the top of the show, it was kind of nice to see him in a number 10 role. I wasn't sure how he would fit into that system. It's a very demanding role, but what we'll see of him is a player who can get around and do pretty much a bit of everything. So his defensive work duties there against Wickham, his range of passing is also is spot on. He's on, I believe, corner duties and set pieces too. So there's clearly trust in his ability. So yeah, hopefully, obviously, we all want the best for him, and he's shown glimpses of what he can do.
And another one, a little bit like I was talking about Shaq Ford earlier, where in the cameos he's had this season, he's always looked bright, he's always looked lively, but couldn't quite find a role for him in this team. Now he's playing that number 10 position. He looks obviously a lot more settled, a lot more at home, suits his strengths. I mean, if he can get into the box and grab a few goals, that'll be really helpful. But other than that, I've been really impressed with him in the last couple of weeks.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I've seen some clips here. He looks like a good all-round midfielder, but he's obviously... Most fans will probably think Ethan Galbraith is that build of a number 10, or George McCurr to play in that hole. But he's shown ability that maybe a lot of fans didn't expect to see from him. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned Galbraith, because I do feel like, I mean, and I'm very happy to be wrong and be corrected, but they look very, very similar in terms of their technical abilities and what they bring to the team. And I think they both technically look excellent. So that's why I'm quite pleased to see someone like Ethan Galbraith still
maintain a starting berth, albeit at right back. So there's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of pressure on Max to excel in that position, especially against a team like Portsmouth. They've got Pack and Morella essentially that will be marking him or trying to mark him out of the game. Portsmouth play pretty much the same system as we do, 4-2-3-1. So it will be a tough test for him, but he's pretty much improved every game that we've seen him. And I mean, you started this by saying he's kind of gone under the radar. He totally has, and hopefully, a game will come his way, and hopefully it is obviously this afternoon that he really does excel and kind of stake that claim to be the number 10.
Well, 10 minutes to go until kick-off, and we're going to take a look at the home side very shortly. But first, we've been speaking about Max Sanders, so let's hear his thoughts ahead of the game.
And for you personally, it's been a little bit of a stop-start season so far. Hopefully the injuries are behind you now, but how would you assess it on a personal level?
Yeah, it's been very frustrating for me. Obviously, coming in, getting injured in pre-season, then getting ill for a few weeks, and then coming into the team. Obviously, the team was pretty set, and then broke into the team, played a couple of games and enjoyed it, and then got injured with a hamstring, and then come back from that. I've had to work my way back in, and then, yeah, it's been stop-start, but, I've been working really hard to get back in the team, and, obviously got my chance the other week, so just want to kick on and try and play as many games as I can, help the team, get goals, get assists, and just improve as a player on and off the pitch.
Although it has been a bit stop-start, do you feel like we've seen flashes of the real Max Sanders out on the pitch?
Yeah, I think there's been flashes of it. I just need that consecutive run of games to show what I can really do. I know I've got the ability to impact games, so that's what I want to do when I get given the chance. And I just want to play games, get my match fitness completely there. Like I say, it's been tough because I haven't really had that run of games due to not being available. So now that I feel fit and raring to go, so hopefully I can make a big impact in the next half of the season.
Well, hopefully Max can show what he can do this afternoon, starting in his second consecutive game. Hopefully we'll see a goal or two from Max. But now let's take a look at the home side and its league leaders at Portsmouth, who are standing in Orient's way of extending our unbeaten run. And here is their team for this afternoon. In goal is their number one, it's Will Norris. In the back line of a four, we have Joe Rafferty, Sean Raggett, Corn Shaughnessy and Jack Sparks. In the midfield, they have Joe Morrill and the captain, Marlon Pack. In the three behind the striker is Abu Kamara, Christian Sadie and Paddy Lane. And leading the line for them he's a danger man, it's Colby Bishop. And on the bench for Pompey is Max Macy, Riley Tower, Gavin White, Tom Lowry, Terry Devlin, Josh Martin and Anthony Scully. It's an interesting matchup. Obviously they're top of the league, but it feels very much like a balanced matchup in a sense of formations.
Yeah, in terms of formations, and then also in terms of form, in so much as Portsmouth were top of the league, but they're in the last 6 games at least they're 14th in the form table. They had a phenomenal run at the start of the season, and they've only lost 3 games in the league this season, which we should remember going into this game. But those 3 losses have all been in the last 9 games, so it kind of it speaks to the fact that they have struggled. They're like reading up about Portsmouth and hearing from some of their fans heading into today's game, it's so funny because they seemingly slump every January, or have in the last few years. So last season they didn't have any win in 7 between December and January. The year before they only had one win in 7 over January and February, and the year before that they lost 4 games in January. So they kind of have this almost tradition of being poor in January, and obviously we hope that continues this afternoon. But they're a very good side. They've got goals across the pitch, but also have assist makers coming left, right and centre as well, which I think we'll come on to.
Well, let's just, before we do that, hark our minds back to the reverse fixture. And I think that was probably the first game in this league where you go, okay, we've jumped up a division. They, as Richie said in his interview this week, they didn't have to do much to do a really professional job on us. They attack well, they attack their box well, they defend their box well. Just a tough team to play against.
Yeah, they're big physical side, and they like to get crosses in the box, and that's where they really hurt us in the reverse fixture. I think Richie's right, it probably wasn't a 4-0 game on the balance of it, but their deliveries were spot on, and they attacked the ball well, and that was ultimately undoing. And that's what you say when it's like a welcome to League One moment, where you just have to be a little bit more clever against these kinds of sides and a little bit more prepared, because at least now we know what we're going to be up against, and you've got to be probably prepared. And I hope we've used these last couple of weeks to do a lot of training in terms of defending crosses into the box.
Well, Jack Sparks is key for Pompey as well, as we're going to see here. I believe it's 8 assists for him, and just really dangerous from getting balls in, as we know from that reverse fixture. Yeah,
fantastic left back for them. Like you said, 8 assists in all competitions so far this season, and you'll just see from the clips his delivery is absolutely magnificent. I know it's a cliche to say wand of a left foot, but he really does have fantastic ability. And then on the other side of the pitch, when Jack Sparks isn't throwing these balls into the box for the likes of Colby Bishop and Sadie and Lane, Rafferty has also got 4 assists as well for them from right back, and that's far more than our fullbacks have got so far this season. So you can see the way that they play. That will cause Galbraith a headache. I think what we should expect is Idris El Mazouni and Jordan Brown to do a lot of the work in maybe doubling up on those players down the flanks. But Portsmouth kind of get goals from all sorts of positions, and hopefully we can just nullify that threat enough to get a couple of goals of our own, because I think of all the games that we've had over the last few weeks, this will be the one which is the biggest test in terms of not keeping a clean sheet. 3 clean sheets in a row will give us a great deal of confidence, and rightly so. But where Portsmouth are at the moment in terms of their goal scoring ability has been excellent this season.
It certainly has. And if we don't want to get too hung up on the reverse fixture, because if we do want to take some benefits and some positives, it's that we have become a bit more streetwise. We've started defending our box better. Those first maybe 5 games back in League One, we didn't look probably at the races, but as we're going to see here, we've learned to defend our box that little bit better. Dan Happy and Omar Beckles rebuilding that partnership at the back, and as we see it seems to have just gotten that little bit more streetwise and solid in the defence of recent games.
Yeah, I think as we're going to see from the clips here, I think Omar coming back in has probably made a big difference, and it looks like, I mean, he didn't have, much like the Orient team, didn't have the easiest starts to life back in League One, but he looks really settled now after coming back from that injury, and he looks like we're the key to us defending the box better, because he's the leader in there. I think Dan Happy has many strengths, but I wouldn't assume he's the natural leader type. So to have Beckles alongside him, that partnership that was so good in League Two, it means that when balls do come in, it's always a case of, probably Omar's going to be the one taking charge, demanding more of everyone else around him, and that makes a huge difference in what is still quite a young Orient side.
Let's take a look at our defensive form of late now then in some of these clips here, because it's been really positive, and there was probably some question marks over the defence, wasn't there, Andrew? But I think they've erased those question marks.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing about getting promoted. No player becomes bad overnight or loses their ability overnight, but a certain rot can start settling in, and it was causing a bit of concern. But Omar and Dan Happy have been fantastic of late. Back there, and Sol Bryn it was that save against Charlton that pretty much kept us keeping those 3 points. He's also been, I think, really, really brilliant of late too.
Certainly has. And they're going to have to be really on their game today, aren't they, Brendan?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a big test for that newly formed back four of Galbraith, Beckles, Happy and Tom James, but it's one I'm sure they'll be relishing. I think you've got the protection there from Jordan Brown, and El Mazouni are going to have to play a massive role, and even the wingers in Shaq Ford and Theo are going to have to get back and defend. It's going to have to be a real unit and team effort to stop Portsmouth today. Well, kickoff is minutes away and both sets of players are out on the pitch at Fratton Park. So let's hand over now to our commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Good afternoon. afternoon and welcome to Fratton Park, where it is a fantastic atmosphere, a game that provides a real benchmark for Richie Wellens' men, and one that the league leaders need to win. It's just one win in 5, and that's incredible. Up until November, John Mousinho had gone 27 league games without defeat, Matt.
Well, absolutely, no doubt about it. The pressure this afternoon is on the home side. Portsmouth will be looking at this as a game that should be a must-win for them if they are to conquer promotion from League One. The O's fans in good voice to our right-hand side, they come here hoping that the O's can pull off a result. It'll be hard if they do, but you never know. You never know with the O's.